Okay, so this is my trade recap for Friday. I traded two times, both for winners. Honestly, this whole week should have been a 100% win rate week. Like it was honestly not the cleanest week, but it was still beautiful. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I haven't even started backtesting. So this is gonna be. This might seem stupid. I don't know. Like I might not explain everything perfectly, but anyways, I'm also super fucking hungry. So Friday, right? Why did I not trade on YM on Friday, right? And this is the main reason why, is because large wick on the weekly. We don't really support that bullish expansion, and so it's likely that YM is going to have a hard time expanding beyond the weekly candle open. Although, because it already has and it reached the pre-week high, the closest level to the or above the weekly candle open. So it's like it's gonna be hard to really go higher. There's really no reason to. There's no reason to go higher at all, even on um, like NQ and ES. But I traded during Asia, and then I traded again during New York AM. But New York AM. All right, so yeah, and then also NQ was overall stronger because price was closer to the drawn liquidity. That's pretty much all that I cared about for. Also, it was showing more strength intraday. So, but yeah. So basically, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday expands higher, right? Not supporting the bearish expansion, creating a gap for Friday to continue from. So Friday can definitely continue because, like I said, the weekly does support that bearish expansion. So I'm pretty much realigning a daily expansion candle with a weekly expansion candle. And we've seen early on during 1800 during Asia, price created SMT with pre-day low. We're actually still holding that right now with YM. And I kind of like, so I longed this and then I shorted New York AM, anticipating this SMT to fill. But I know that YM doesn't support that bearish expansion, so I kind of took off early. Also, I didn't really need to target too much, but because I was trying to pass my eval, but I knew that the price was most likely going to be high res when expanding towards the pre-day low, and as you can see, since like 10 a.m., price has been very high res trying to get to pre-day low. It almost has reached it, but yeah. So simply, the framework on the daily is internal to X orange liquidity. The profile is Friday C2 reversal into expansion candle, which is the GXT aligned sequence with the weekly. And then the S&P would be S&P fill, which is a form of two-stage S&P. So I don't have to demand second stage S&P on the lower time frame to confirm the reversal day. Right? Actually, I might delete all these. So actually, let's do it. I just don't know what this is. So yeah. So let's drop down to the 4 hour. Right. So I didn't like 1800, even though like 1800 reached the key level. Right. We opened up with an consolidation. The front key level would be this range level of the consolidation, being a relevant swing. And so, which is the daily gap. So if we're gonna reverse, if we're gonna go higher, then it's gonna be from this level. 1800 reached it. Does this for expansion? Yes. So we could trade 1800, but I didn't like the reversal signature that price put on the lower time frame, like C2 trading C3 during 1900. I didn't like that. That's just weird chop EPA. I think GXT took this here, the CSD, or many people did. I don't fuck with it. Right, because 1900 opened up and validated it, assuming that protects the low of the 1900 candle. Let's see it real quick. Create SMD here. Nah. Did I take that low? Yeah, we did. Okay. There's SMD there. So you can count that as a prominent protected swing because of that SMT, I guess. I don't know. I don't like how price came back and retraced super deep like that, leaving failure swings. Just look like shit. So, doesn't mean I can't trade. So if I don't catch the reversal, I can always trade the continuation. 1800 expands. Hold on. Wait, 114. Oh, yeah. All right. So 1800. So we have framework order per ranges, profile being 1800 C2 manipulation. So looking for 2200 continuation C3, and then the SMT would be with the kilowatt software being the SMT fall in the hard time frame. SMT fill. All right. And so, yeah. So now, low day is confirmed. I want to see 2200 create that 4-hour expansion channel away from the low day towards the target level. And it kind of looks like so therefore 2200 should respect EQ of the pre-4-hour candle range, or the upper half. But when you look into that, when you look within that 4-hour candle range, you have gaps, which is ideal. So pretty much trading the universal sequence. But it kind of looks like NQ is the weakest asset because we're creating that lower low. But if you look closely, or closer to the target level, to this eye here, then and you know YM is, or ES. ES is, you know, I mean ES doesn't look bad, but it is lower in the range. Like it created this SMT, kind of like we have that bearish day yesterday. Kind of a second stage PSP actually on the daily, and we traded further into the gap versus NQ. So it's just, it kind of just looks like, you know, NQ, I don't know, it looks better, honestly, on the lower time frame as well. So, yeah, let's drop down to the lower time frame. Check out 2200. So now we have a line swing with the daily. Now, is 2200 opening up within a line swing? It is not, right? 60 were extremely bullish prior to 2200 open. And so, this is the refined kilowatt closer to the 2200 candle. We trade into it immediately. I'd like to put this shit on here just because. Alright. So, we reach it. Do we manipulate? Do we support, you know, expansion? No. Let's go to YM. So, we gotta wait for that swing point. We create it here, and obviously, yeah, I didn't realize that. So, also, yeah, another reason why NQ was kind of stronger despite this is because we took this high first versus YM. So, and what did we do after creating the S&P? Price created, kind of consolidated, right, or retraced. So it's like all assets reversed away from the original SMT here. Displaced higher. The leading asset reached the target level first. So typically that means all assets will reach the same target level. But mechanically defining this as failure SMT, right? Price created that SMT with an OT, so it's likely not to hold. And then also the phase of price that happened after that SMT formed confirms it as well. So ideally, YM shows string switching. It doesn't, right? We kind of, you know, show weakness here, show SMT fill, no string switch. But if you go to ES closed bearishly. So what is that? That's a string switch PSP. So assuming that it's going to hold and confirm, that confirms the low of the 2200 4-hour candle. Price, let's look within this wick. I seen GXT, I think he took the reversal originally here, but then he tried trading this here or some shit, I don't know. And he got stopped out because he took YM thinking that it's the lagging asset, showing string switching should catch up, right? We should see asset sync, but like I said, I knew that YM was probably going to deliver with high resistance because of the fact that the weekly candle doesn't support that bullish expansion. And we're already at a premium, we're already above the opening price. So it's just likely that since NQ and ES both support that expansion bullishly this week, still, we're probably going to, and you know, NQ's obviously showing more strength overall, it's probably going to deliver cleaner. So, we got that GXT reversal sequence, S&P fill, right, whatever. So looking within this C2, do we have a clean V shape? We do, with gaps. Right, that was 22 C2, 2230 C2, 2300 C3, 2330 C4. Alright, we got that clean V shape with gaps. So I simply just executed right here off the gap during the C2 candle, like within the last 5 minutes of it, or last 3 minutes of the candle, which is ideal. Assuming that this is going to close as a C2 and then we're going to expand away, creating a C3. And I targeted like at 2.3 because I risked, like I said, I was trying to just pass my evo. This is like, and the reason why I was rushing it like crazy is because of the fact that I thought that I was going to lose this account going into this weekend, right? I thought this was the last week. I thought that you only get 30 days until you like lose the account pretty much for Lucid Profit, but or the Flex accounts or whatever. But that's not true. I guess you don't lose it as long as you trade like within 30 days, or as long as you don't like lose it because you lost too much money, you don't lose the account ever. So DVL. So which is like I don't think I've ever seen that with a prop firm. I don't know, but it's pretty OP. So I'm very grateful for that. But so I went ham today because of that, honestly. But so I wanted this to be the CSD, but we decided to resweep. I thought this was like a form of string switching with YM. I mean, it was technically, right? And this is like at 20 minutes. This is like, I don't even know. I don't know, like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. my time or some shit. I wanted to go to bed. I was so tired. So I seen the CSD form. Tried my stop to this low. I was like, alright, turn the charts off. I went to bed. Woke up the next day to price almost taking my stop loss. Like it barely, like YM decided to resweep. Of course, NQ showed more strength. And then it expanded higher. And then it eventually reached, it was very obviously high resistant because of it being Asia, London. But price ultimately reached my take profit. I think that was the take profit. I don't know if it's going to show it though, actually. Same day, so it should. Right. So I entered there, exited here, right? So like pretty much right away I was able to trim my stop to, like, I was able to trim it by like 3/4, so realistically this was like a 9.6 R, in a way, so, but that was my first trade. That was the logic behind it. I'm rushing this like crazy. I probably should have backtested before I made this video. But let me change. Alright, doesn't matter. So yeah, now let's go back to the daily, delete everything. And I actually traded YM because the YM's overall weaker today. So why did I trade YM bearishly during your game? Well, here's the logic. Same thing as I said before. The wick of the candle has that large wick. We've already reached the target level being pre-week high, which is S&T break. And I assumed that C2, C3 continuation today, we saw this gap left open, so it could continue for sure. Right, we saw that open target. Price was clearly showing this was filler S&P later in the day, but in yeah, I'll go into that. So the framework would be external to internal. The profile would be C2, C3, and then the S&T would be just S&P break on the daily. Well, actually, we had S&T with pretty high, and it was spaced out S&P, so it looked pretty prominent. Jumping into the 4-hour. Alright, so today opened up here. Opened higher at first. The daily candle formation supports that bearish framework of either external to internal order per range, or well, external to internal on the daily. On the 4-hour being what am I doing? Either order per ranges or internal to external range liquidity. So 6 a.m. reached the key level. during, right? And then created SMT with it. Does a spark expansion bearishly? No, so I gotta wait for candle limit. I can't trade during the driver. I gotta wait for 10 AM open. 6 AM manipulated and created that. Since I'm trading a reversal day, technically, we gotta see that second stage SMT to confirm it. So 6 AM created that second stage PSP, second stage Kraken correlation, right? To confirm the reversal. And this looks so clean too with NQ and ES being extremely bullish into a key level with SMT. So we can definitely anticipate a new phase price of the re. And like, it kind of makes sense. Like, the SMT here with pretty low, like, what did price do? It expanded lower and it, like, high res retraced, right? It retraced back into range. High res, like, creating that spaced out SMT, right? So, I mean, even though it's kind of, it's near EQ, so it's valid. So, assuming 10 EM C3 continuation, now I gotta ask, is 10 EM opening up within an aligned swing? Right, and it technically is C2, C3, 10 EM C4, but what I didn't like. Oh, also I wanted to talk about. I'll go back to Asia. Fuck. Look at the 90-minute candle. The reason why I thought when I tried my stop loss, I thought that because 2230 C2, right? So I entered during that C2, and I was like, and it created that CICSD as well. Right. So 22, wait, what was it, 2330? Is that when it closed? Okay, yeah, no, 2230. And it opens up at 00, okay, so I'm stupid, okay. So, pretty much right here, it opened up. And it closes here. So, I knew that when I entered off this CSD, and I trailed my stop to the, this is one, but when I trailed my stop to the CICSD on the, on NQ, right? I knew that the 90-minute candle could take me out because it doesn't support the expansion bullshit. So essentially, like, price could going into C3 during 2300, which, as you can see, it did chop around for a bit. Didn't really do too much till 0, or until the new 90-minute candle opened. But I knew that price could chop around and take my stop loss. So I didn't really want to wait for candle limit. I didn't want to wait for the new 90-minute candle to open. So I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna take it. So, and it worked out. But let's go back to New York game. So 30-minute. This is why I'm right. Okay, so I like doing this. It's like the fractal model, T-trades indicator. Helps see the hard time frame point of view with the lower time frame. But yeah, so price retraced into the T spot. Create S&P with pre to high. But one thing I didn't like is, you know, like if you go to ES, we reached that level, right? We created that S&T right here. You know, it's kind of high res, but we then like showed a failure to manipulate. This is failure S&P at that point. But it's kind of like decoupled, right? YM's heading lower, ES and NQ are both heading higher. So therefore I gotta see strength switching in order to see ISO sync. And NQ's shooting way above it during the driver. Or during the driver. So, but, you know, 10 was opening up within that line swing, so it's like there's nothing wrong with this. You could take this. Did I take this? Nah. So yeah, going into 10 AM though, you know, I waited for that. I waited for the string switch, pretty much. I don't think it happened here. Pretty sure, yeah. So this was the string switch here. I didn't like how ESL it closed very weak, like it looked bullish, right? But this is technically the string switch here. But and you know, I liked this C2. I was like, okay, that confirms the high of the 10 EM for candle GXT reversal sequence. And we have a line swing on the 1 hour, 30 minute with the 4 hour, with the daily. Everything is aligned, so we can now expand. But when you look within that C2, get that clean C. It's not really too clean. It's like, it's kind of like very high res, no gaps. So it's like, and then if you look at the ES and NQ, they're just leaving failure swings. It looks so shitty. It's like very weird S&T. It looks very shitty. So what I wanted to do is wait for the CI CSD and let ES and NQ reverse, but they never do. And then price just runs without me, sadly. So I was like, damn, that's annoying. And at this point, I was like, I was only $600 away from passing my eval. I was at 2,400, and I was like, I'm just gonna shoot for a 1 hour. I'm gonna risk $600 or like 1,000, and then shoot for 600, not even 1 hour. Just shoot for that real quick to get it done and over with. So I could have easily taken that. I would have made it right here real quick. But I didn't like the reversal signature on ES and NQ. They weren't really wanted to respect that string switch. Although ES does reverse, if you look at NQ, it's just continuously to want to go higher while NQ or YM is going lower. Pretty shit. So instead, what I did was wait for a new 6-hour candle open. Just wait for candle alignment. Going into 12, right? Because quarter 3 manipulated, quarter 4 can expand at that point. Everything's still aligned. Everything is still perfect on YM. We just gotta wait for that string switch on NQES, and that's pretty much what I did. So going into 12, right? What do we do? We retrace, go to the 15-minute, and I seen that we had this range here. You know, it's kind of like, I don't know. I've seen this. You know, it was like we held that S&T, created that V shape, CSD. I'm not even gonna log this trade. I really don't care about it. It's pretty shitty, but it's honestly a very lower probability. And the main reason why, because I entered off this gap here, but I knew that this range should hold because NQ and ES are both extremely bullish. They need a retrace on the 4 hour. We need to see that hard for retracement. And so it's bound. It's like we're probably gonna hold this range. We're probably going to make a new swing low, and then you think about the phase of price. We took this relevant swing here and kind of consolidated and / retrace, so that supports at least a new expansion below this low. So like I said, I was only trying to shoot for like a 1 hour, a 1 RR. So I took it off this gap here, around here, put my stop here. Literally, it wasn't even a 1 hour. It was like a 0.6 because I was like I said, I just needed that extra $600. I risked like 1,000. So definitely a horrible trade, but it's only a prop firm. It's only an eval, so it doesn't matter. Like I said, I did this because I thought I was gonna lose the account today. So I was like, fuck it. Either I risk it and I see what happens, or I don't risk it and I just don't pass the account, the eval. That's my mindset when going into this, when I took this trade. But now that I know that I actually won't lose the account going into next week, that's just kind of foolish. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, the main reason why this was very lower probability is because we have yet to see that string switch really prominently on ESNQ. They have yet to reverse, but also because the day doesn't support that bullish or bearish expansion, right? And we're like within discount. So I mean, price could continue, but could continue towards, you know, the daily gap or pretty low. But it's just lower probability. But yeah, we're already with a discount. It's like it could easily manipulate this relevant swing. It could reverse higher, and then we could just do a shallow retrace on NQ and ES and just continue grinding higher, because we're not getting that string switch really on any asset. So, but I enter around here somewhere. It was like going into 12. Or it was like before 12, it was like at 11:45 around here, off this gap. Knowing that when 12 opens, that's when we should expand. Let me just do that. Let me do this. Alright. And that's when we do expand perfectly, reaching my take profit. But again, ENQ is not really wanting to go lower. I think ES held this string switch. No, so we broke it. So it's like there's no string switch. So it's like I would never take this, and then I wouldn't take it because like I said, the data doesn't support that bearish expansion. I would take the 10 EM reversal here. I tried taking that, but I only would have taken that if ES and MQ actually showed a clean reversal with the string switching. Price never did. So, yeah, realistically there was no trade during NERCAM today for me, but I was greedy. I needed to make that money, so yeah. So it was a very shower. And we ultimately do go lower, you know. Right, I entered like right there perfectly, and exited like right here. Right there, at a 0.65 hour. But I like how it's 12 opened and immediately just continued from this range. Expansion mode with retracement. We should see another expansion. But, you know, price does, you know, reach like a 1.5 and then it reverses higher. Looks like we might hold this range still. There's no reason to reverse higher, right? Obviously. But yeah, so kind of wish I backtested this a little bit more before I made this video. I just really wanted to make it. I really wanted to talk about it. So I made like, now I'm up like 50 or about 3,000, but I think I made like 2,000 today. Here, so. But this week, I'm gonna do my end of week recap video as well after I get done with backtesting and shit, and I really revise everything. But I don't know why my internet's not working. But Monday, barely missed a trade. I should have traded, offered a 2 hour perfectly. I should have made that. Tuesday I didn't trade because bias was invalidated, but it was clean at first. And then Wednesday, I traded, but I got very unlucky, and price, because of how I entered, price edged my stop loss before reaching for my take profit. So realistically, if I entered how I should have, logically, I should have made a 3R. So that's a 5 hour right there. And then Thursday, what did I do on Thursday? Thursday was, I know there's a trade Thursday. I missed it though. Something happened on Thursday. I forgot. I don't know why my Discord's not loading. Come on. I think Thursday I missed a trade. I should have made a 3 hour. What happened on Thursday, bro? I forgot. Oh damn, I'm experiencing so much gas. I gotta eat. Come on. Oh my god, Discord sucks. Alright. I don't know. I think I traded on Thursday as well, or I tried to. Pretty sure there was a trade. Like every day of the week there was a fucking trade, bro. And it offered like a 3 hour. So realistically speaking, I should have made bare minimum 5K this week, but I'm happy with the technically. Oh yeah, I guess I technically made around 2,600, or I mean about around 1,600, around 1,600. So about a 3 hour really. But that just comes down to experience, I guess, and kind of being unlucky. Yeah, I'm being stupid. I'm being really slow now. I really want to show my Discord, but it's all good. So that's my trade recap. Now, when heading into, because I gotta reach the consistency rule, right? I reached my profit target of 3,000, but they increased it to 4,200 around there or some shit. I gotta reach 42, yeah, 100 pretty much. Now because of the fact that I gotta, I just gotta trade more. I gotta make $1,200 more, but I think I gotta trade like, I don't even know, bro. But I gotta bring this consistency down from 70% down to 50%, and then once I reach that 4,200 or whatever, then I'll pass the challenge. Hopefully I do that next week. But this week was ass. I'm not gonna lie. PA wasn't the cleanest, but it was still logical for every day, for why price did what it did with, you know, every day, each day of the week. And I was able to execute, you know, I was able to call it. Saturday I was just kind of unlucky, so, but thank God Friday pulled through like last week. But anyways.